Anyway, guys, welcome back. Of course, it is the happy hour. We are Wine for the People, episode 84. 84, the only show left on the internet where we don't take the wines serious. I always stuff this up, Noah.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
I think I'm saying we don't take much that seriously, really, at the end of the day. But g'day, Carrie. First comment in. Thank you so much for chiming in, my lovely mother, beating out Justin Hess for the title, at least on today's episode anyway. And on today's episode, we have an absolutely amazing individual with a really interesting background, and what not just what this gentleman's done beforehand, but also what he's doing absolutely now. And this, of course, is Luke Growden. Mate, thanks for joining. Most important question: would you like a glass of wine?
Sure.
Too late. The wine glass is already full. Blind wine. We're on.
We got blind wine straight up. We got blind wine straight up. So we're going to jump straight into blind wine tasting because for a really, really good reason. And yes, I am talking about one of the only sports left on Australian television right now. Blind tasting. Because Andy Coppard, our mate Andy, he left a wine. Yeah. So the very next episode, that wine gets opened. That's just a rule.
It's a new rule. If you bring more than one blind wine, don't open on the show. It's the next episode. Can't take it home.
It is a legitimate blind tasting wine he brought as like a backup for his first one. So this could be
Gruner from Portugal. Can we have
what was Gruner from Portugal? What was that?
Delicious. That was what it was.
It was very delicious. I don't think anyone would ever get that, but it was very cool to be able to see.
I was going to say Bastardo.
You reckon it's going to call it Bastardo?
Yeah.
Or Trousseau? I mean, it's the same.
JN, I think is what he likes to call it. That's a nice ring to it.
All right, it probably is because he's a big Bastardo fan.
Mclaren Vale's only producer.
Mclaren Vale's only Bastardo. All right, let's jump straight in, man. Have you played? I imagine you've played blind tasting options games before.
Yeah, I'm an old man now. We don't. Yeah, but back in a former day, mate.
Oh, she's a little bit kissed by the cork.
Again,
this one, just a touch. Just a bit of a Salt Bay of TCA.
It's the worst salt ever.
All right, Noah, you're playing the game.
Yeah, is it a New World or Old World?
I think, first and foremost, man, we should figure out whether it's white or red.
Is it white or red?
What do you reckon it is?
I think it's white, but...
I think it's white too, because... Oh, sorry, I put the comments down so I can't see, so Noah's going to let you all know what we're tasting. I think it's white too, because there's like no tannin. But I feel like it's got like a fleshiness that's like... This is actually one of those few wines that
picky up front, but good acidity as well, so...
I'm going...
But it's a dark glass, so...
It's really
How can you tell?
It's really disorienting, isn't it? It's super disorienting. I'm going to go white as well.
Yeah, it's a white one. Is it?
It's
yeah, it's a white one. Is it New World or Old World?
I think it's Old World.
Yeah, I go Old World.
Yeah, I think for those playing at home that aren't watching us and are using us as a bit of a podcast, I don't know, why would you go Old World on this?
It's a little bit rustic. It's got that sort of mustiness, but it's got good texture. I think it's
like a balance between texture and acid.
Yeah.
Like it's really got a really kind of sublime acidity that just makes me feel like it's a natural acid wine. Yeah, so much acid as well. It's actually really cool.
Yes, it is Old World.
Thank you very much.
Are we going Portugal? Spain? Italy?
I think this is another Portuguese number. This feels... Yeah. I mean, it doesn't feel as... Oh, yeah, it's fucked up, isn't it?
See, I think all the Portuguese stuff is more sort of Pinot Verde, sort of more sort of acid-driven.
Super acid-driven. Super
drunk, whereas this is a bit more sort of that... A little bit more textural. Yeah, I'm almost Italy, but...
Do you reckon that's corked or just chestnut
Or
was
just interesting.
Portuguese, Spanish, and Italy. Spain and Italy. For a white wine from there. We have Laura here chiming in the background. Yeah.
I'm going to go the eastern half. So if you draw a line between Spain, like halfway
Yeah.
Spain.
It's gonna commit. I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go Spanish actually on this because I agree. Like the Portuguese white thing, I think it's just maybe from the Douro. Maybe if it is going to be from anywhere, like a hot place, it's definitely not north. It's not Vina Verde territory.
No, it's not. It's still got that voluptuousness. It's but
fleshy. Lord, do you want to grab a glass? Grab a glass. You want to jump in? You know what this wine is? No, you don't. Okay.
I actually quite like it. I think it looks pretty cool.
It's pretty fun. It's like that got that sort of it's like aged Albarino or aged. Oh shit! I might know what it is. I'm gonna stick with Spain.
Okay.
But okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
I'll redeem the points later on.
Oh, I may happen to know what it is. Yeah.
So what have you got, Luke?
I'm gonna go. Yeah, Italy. I'm gonna go Italy, but
It's Portuguese.
Portuguese.
Well, we're both wrong. I definitely don't know what this is.
It's Portuguese.
I made so many lies just then.
Region. Oh, I need to brush up on.
Gale or something.
Douro.
You're in
Southern Douro. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Douro. Do you have
Varieties?
Varieties. Oh no, no.
20. Can you?
There is Gruner.
surprise? I'm not even gonna.
Rabagado.
Yeah.
Which is what I think this is.
Yep. It's one of the varieties.
It's one. Oh, right. So we're gonna blend, and there is Macabeo.
No Macabeo.
No Macabeo. That's because that's Spanish. And so there is Alvarinho, which is the Portuguese variant of Alvarinho.
Is there any Arinto in it?
There is a Rinto. There is a Rinto. Yeah, it just keeps spitting out names, and just honestly, there's 10 different varieties in here.
There's 10 different. Is Gruner one of them?
No. A vintage. I'll just go straight to that because
Vintage.
Yeah.
Are we going to stab or get options? What do you reckon?
Yes.
Percent chance.
Yeah, like a,
Oh, you want
like a dove, like yeah.
two options. Okay. Are we going to go with 2016 or 2014?
That's you know.
Phone a friend is not available.
You know, that's so good because I was literally going to take a stab at 2015. I was literally going to go, that's 2015. I'm so glad.
That doesn't help.
2016.
I'd go 16.
It's 14.
Wow, that's dope.
Really? Yep. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's dope.
2014.
Hot climate, good acidity.
It's good acid. It's great acid. It's got 10 varieties. Just to clarify,
It's got 10 varieties.
Is it a field blend?
Portuguese blend.
It's not the Portuguese pirate blend.
No, that's Australian.
Because that's just a pirate blend now.
Anyways, this is the wine. Same producer as Monday Night.
Yeah, cool. Why wouldn't they put Gruner in?
It's saving it all the sparkling.
Saving all the sparkling. That's right. How cool is that? Vino Branco. Andy, if you're chiming in, I want to know exactly what's up with this wine because I feel there's a story behind this. But I have to say it's pretty fun drinking.
Very cool. That's pretty funny one.
Oh, Laura's just like, there's like.
I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
So was that Andy's other one on the way in?
Yeah.
Is this like a hunt? You sort of go through this one and then we go to this one.
No.
Best scavenger hunt ever.
Well, sometimes when people have brought on some really sort of like, hey, look, I don't know if this wine's gonna be like, I don't know if this one is gonna be like.
It stays on the other side.
So here's like the backup wine, but he also walked out of here without his backup wine, and that's just like the threat. If you bring double the wine, like it's going to get opened on the show. Like it's just going to happen. Hey, we acknowledged him and stuff like that. But I want to take the. I jumped through your website. Okay.
Did it take you long?
But the thing that I was taken by, and I've always been taken by your wines, particularly, in fact, because you don't do that many different wines, and all of them are absolutely delicious. But there's this one here I had never heard of.
No.
And we did on this show, like Noah and I we did junk food wine pairings, and we ran out of junk food, so we're like, let's up the ante. And we were all missing, because if you go to a Bunnings these days, you can't get your sausage and bread. And I didn't realize we were trying to match wines to sausage and bread. One had already been made, and that wine is sausage in bread red, which I found if you say it really quickly, it doesn't sound like sausage in bread red. It just sounds like sausage in bread red. So you got to be very slowly with how you actually say this. Can I open this? Can I try it?
Yeah.
Is it alright?
I want to put the proviso.
Yeah.
I had one of my scaly mates actually help out with the bottling, so it's a little bit down.
It's underfill.
Yeah, it's an underfill.
Cool. All right, and it's no sulfur as well.
No sulfur. So.
Yeah, right. Okay, so it could go each way. Let's
had that nice little sound that you want.
So why the name sausage in bread red?
Well, it's basically a piss steak, really. It's meant to be something that we can do whatever with. Like your humble snag probably has 20 different varieties of.
Yeah, it does.
There and everywhere.
Legit.
And also then the fact
terroir of a snag.
and also it's preservative free, unlike the humble snag. So yeah, we've done it the last couple of years.
It's looking good. It's looking good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Jumbo underfilled it. Maybe
Jumbo
that's the
Wumba.
secret. Yeah.
Jumbo Wumba.
Jumbo. Yeah. So basically, it's always what you make your sort of core range, and then you have stuff that you want to play around with and muck around with, and sort of experiment and see. And that was what this sort of was. So.
You're a Port Lincoln boy, yeah?
Yeah.
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 Talking about
Research.
Jumbo Wumba. Where'd is it Wiggy? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, it's not a good story. We can edit this out later.
Oh god.
Mate, you've
Jeez, you know too much.
I know, because I'm fascinated with everything that comes on here, because wine is one of those things that have people come from such diverse backgrounds. And people, come from all different places. Obviously, out of Port Lincoln, not a lot of wine out there.
It's not much. There's a little bit now, but yeah, it wasn't when growing up.
What you hear?
Well, uni for a start. So came over to do a science degree. Myself and friends that's what you do. You move over to do uni. And then basically ended up working in a bottle shop. A good mate of mine who was from the Barossa got me a job in a bottle shop, and then I had sort of 6 months to kill before coming back to do the last 6 months of my uni degree.
Right.
So ended up doing a vintage in the Barossa.
Cool.
Which one of my best mates' brothers was good friends with Phil Lehman. Of Peter Lehman fame. And yeah, so sort of got hooked up with the vintage there and went up, loved it.
What year was that?
01.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
cooler year, wasn't it?
Yeah,
cool
so
year?
2000 was good, and then 98 was amazing, and then 2000, but yeah, 2001 was a little bit cooler. So yeah, just went up and stayed with a mate who was doing a vintage at another winery. Obviously he was from Barossa, and just loved it, like the community, the work, everything around it, and just that sense of fun, really. That was pretty cool, and then sort of stayed with it since then. So.
It's actually pretty interesting talking about, we say time and time again, it was sort of, I think Laura was the one that pointed it out to me. It was because we make, bottles of wine, if you ever wanted to be a billionaire in this game, it's a lot of wine. You would need to make a lot of wine to reach the heights that a tech guru could possibly do. Yeah. So it's never actually going to happen realistically. But the quality of life in this industry and the people that you get to meet, the stories that they bring, and it's just so interesting. It's an amazing way to pass the time. Yeah,
and I think and it's one of those things. It's what do you value in life? And obviously a lot of it is community, meeting people. And when did we meet you guys? 2015 was probably the first.
I think it could have been Young Guns of Wine.
Yeah, but it's
back when we were all a lot younger.
So many different people, and everyone is so welcoming. So yeah, it's just an amazing industry to be a part of in respect to that, really. So
you and your lovely partner, wife, partner in life,
wife, yeah.
So you guys started Year Wines together?
Yep.
Or was it something before you guys met?
No, we didn't. Well, Kaylee came over to do a vintage. She's from Canada and came over to do a vintage in '09, and we sort of met first day of her work at Wirra.
You were working there?
Yep, working there. And yeah, we've sort of been together ever since. And yeah, we never sort of set out to make wine really. But obviously everyone that makes wine wants to have their own sort of thing eventually. And then just by chance, sort of 2012 came around and we had the option to get this Grenache block and we took it. And yeah, I don't know, I think we've been fumbling our way ever since. And
it's a bit like that, like you tend to fumble, like not you tend to, the royal you, as in like, I think when you bring on a lot of these things, especially if, because you guys started as well quite young. I think.
Yeah, not as young as you guys.
I don't think anyone really started as young as we were.
In hindsight, you shouldn't.
That's right. But it's fascinating because, like, I have to say, looking at your Instagram page. Yeah, seriously.
I was just thinking about the recent posts and stuff.
Oh no! What did I do?
No, I was trawling through it today, and I was quite
trolling, not trolling.
Trolling, not trolling. I was quite surprised. I shouldn't be so surprised, but it looks like you guys have like one of the most amazing lives in the Vale.
Yeah, we do. I think often you don't sort of realise that, but and obviously Instagram, you sort of portray a certain
the perfect life,
what that is. But we do. We do have an amazing life. We have a small property, we've got a couple of amazing kids, we grow a lot of our own food. Kaylee makes amazing cheese and has started a whole venture on cheese. We make a bit of wine. Obviously we're not, like you said, we're not going to be tech billionaires or anything like that, but lifestyle, we do pretty well.
It's so cool.
Yeah, like when COVID came in, we're like, well, at least we'll be able to eat for a bit.
Eat and drink.
Yeah, there is that. But obviously it's hard as well, but it's...
So growing your own food, did you guys hoard anything? Did you guys find yourself, like, did you go to the supermarket and you were like, you know what, toilet papers, they're having a run on toilet paper right now. We got or pasta or something? You just make your own pasta, wouldn't you? Just make your own pasta?
Well, you couldn't get flour.
Yeah, that was my response as well. You couldn't get flour and eggs, so you can't make your own pasta.
Yeah, so everyone
we'd
go to the
chickens.
We've got chickens.
So you got
the eggs are fine.
Yeah,
but then you go to the supermarket. Where's so we ended up having. The only reason we got flour is because we had to take the kids to see a specialist for a blood sort of thing, and had to go
be celiac or something, or
anyway, but all good.
Yeah.
But so we had to go past Gaganas. Everyone was so stupid they didn't realise that Gaganas had so much flour. So yeah. So you bought
100 kilos.
Yeah.
10 kilos of rice.
Well,
or something
we're going to do
like
it online, and then it's like $150 to get from Gaganas to our place, and it's like, for 6 kilos of flour, it's probably not worth it.
Yeah, we may as well go out and just
eat nettles. So
Is it? Does that sort of, obviously because you're growing your own food, and Kaylee is doing this amazing thing with cheese at the moment. I'd actually been interested to learn about cheese. I don't know, just cheese making. Not that we want to start like a cheese thing. I'm just interested to know the processes because it's
amazing. It's a bit like with wine. Like Kaylee sort of came into wine, and then sort of when the first little bit of Wirra went off and did an artisan cheese making course just at the end of post vintage, and just was like a eye-opening sort of thing. Like she loved it, and then it sort of evolved into her going off into studying more, traveling, going overseas, and then working in cheese for ages. So like it's the same as wine. It's just, again, there's this product, but it's how it's made. It shows terroir. It's got culture around it. So all the same things that we love about wine are the same as cheese.
So do you eat a lot of cheese?
Not as much as you'd think. Well, we obviously eat a bit, but not as much as think.
Like, how do you like balance the calorific intake and stuff?
Do you get sick of cheese?
No, well, it's sort of...
Yeah, that's the correct answer.
I'm not as cultured.
No one gets sick of cheese.
Yeah, I'm not as cultured as Kaylee. I'm sort of more... I'm a little bit more bogan than Kaylee. So I appreciate a lot of the cheeses, but yeah.
Big is better.
She's the one with so much knowledge and so much experience with all these cheeses. So yeah, I happily partake, but yeah, it's interesting. It's like, just have another glass of wine. Jesus, good.
It's good to have in the fridge.
Yeah.
So how much obviously of growing your own food, making your own cheese, how much does that actually influence like the actual winemaking side of things?
I think they've all got an overarching sort of thing of knowing where your product comes from.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the overriding thing. And like artisanal is a word that gets bandied around a lot, but I think it's that small scale, doing stuff that takes a bit of time in a more traditional manner, and taking pleasure in something taking a long time. So they've all got that sort of
vibe to them.
Vibe to it,
like,
yeah.
Patience.
Like all the wines are wild ferments. Cody plays around with a lot of natural cheese making and stuff as well, using like non.
Well, because you can't obviously commercially release that stuff in Australia for I mean, on one hand, very serious reasons, but on the other hand, it's like we've we've swatted a fly with a mallet, basically.
Yeah.
We've spotted away something that can be problematic. By banning everyone from non-pasteurized cheeses and then like other sort of wild foods. Have you tried much of those cheeses? I'm just so fascinated by like how
they're amazing, but that's the same thing with wine. They show a sense of place and they show the people making it. So yeah, it's the same. Great bottles of wine show the people that make it, the place they're in, and a snapshot of time.
So do you guys go like searching for cows and stuff, or do you have your own?
No,
like
not
sheep
at all.
Or goats or
well, not really. We're lucky that Kylie makes a bit of cheese for us from milk from a good friends of ours that have a cow just down the road. So it's a bit of a sharing sort of situation there.
It's like you give us milk, we give you wine, and we figure shit out later.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's so cool.
But we're still at the very start of this whole thing as well. Like we're not full. Having our own sort of thing, and obviously we still go to Coles occasionally and stuff like that. Like we're not.
Are you always disappointed?
Not necessarily. It's
for cheese. I mean,
for cheese. Yeah.
You still get a block of coon cheese.
No, but the kids there's a time and a place for a taste.
Toasties.
Craft singles, man. Craft singles. Oh. Yeah, it melts really well.
Yeah.
No,
we're not on the outlier or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like everything. It's just a evolution, I suppose.
It's very pragmatic. So what have we got here? We've got, because I was fascinated with one particular, well, obviously Fiano, we're Fiano nerds.
Love Fiano.
Nero Sangio. I'm fascinated with Nero blends and how you can actually use it. So talk us through what we've got here, because of course we've got, this is our, let's have some fun wine.
Yep.
That's no sulfur, that is just easy drinking, and it's like
it's really good.
Glass.
Like for a no sulfur wine, it is squeaky clean and delicious.
Terry Rawson, Brennan has a bit of a COVID pleat in that shirt, swollen liver syndrome. What are you trying to say, man?
What the hell?
What are you trying to say, man? Come on, Terry, be a player.
What does it even mean?
What's a COVID pleat, man? Anyway, so what have we got here?
So Fiano, obviously. And then Nero Sangiovese, and then Grenache. So Fiano from a friend of ours, Vigneault. Nero Sange, little blend.
Is it like how much Sange are we talking?
60-40.
Cool, man.
So 60 Nero, 40 Sange?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it's one of those ones, it's just like, everyone goes, you've designed it, but it's like, well, there wasn't volume to have two different wines, and the Sange sort of tightened the Nero up a little bit, which was, so it sort of worked together, obviously. And then Grenache, which is from the block next door to us. So we bought our place off good friends of ours, James and Kimberley, and we'd taken Grenache off them for a couple of years previously. So it's basically the old Grenache block just across the paddock from us, really. So 1950s planted, obviously not in Blewett Springs, but in Whites Valley. But yeah, such a cool block, and Grenache shows vintage and sort of the conditions a little bit better than a lot of other varieties. So it's just a cool variety to work with each year and a cool block to work.
Yeah, in Grenache in the Vale is just like
yeah.
tomato and basil.
Tomato and basil.
That's what you say at least.
Jump straight to the comments. Kerry, thanks for chiming in. Yuko, Wendy, Jicky, Ruth, of course, Ola. Guys, labels look sick. Sam Mitchell. Labels do look sick. Who was the inspiration? What was the inspiration behind the actual sort of... Because these are... And I don't envy the designer behind this, because every single wine is going to need to come up with a myriad of different sort of floral arrangements.
All right.
These are pretty cool.
Okay. Well, I think we should talk about this one, because that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one my eye gravitates towards.
So that was sort of the first label, and Kelly, we came across a person in Sydney, just on Pinterest, I think. Kaylee sort of came across her, Monica, from Green Peas for Breakfast, and she'd never done a wine label before, and we're looking at, obviously, as you do when you're sort of designing labels and sort of have no idea about label design or anything like that. You obviously got your ideas and things like that, but we sort of came across her, and she'd never done a label before, and she sort of just took what so the first sort of label, with that label, what was it? It was 2012 was the first, but we're trying to come up with things that would make the year unique, and obviously we'd lost a couple of chickens to a fox.
Because I was going to say, a lot of foxes.
And a few other bits and pieces. And we used to do a sort of a blurb about the year in our lives and the year that it was on the back label, until it became a little bit hard and we didn't really do anything anymore. And then it got a little bit hard to write. So the initial sort of concept was we would do a snapshot of the year. And that's where year comes from, is a year in our lives, a year in the vineyard. Wine is a snapshot of a year, basically, a time and place. But that was the first label, and then it sort of just evolved into a couple of other things. There was going to be early release wines, which these would be the labels for, but then it was everything together. But then,
how did you do the label? I gotta figure out how you did this, because it looks like
I don't want to give away too many secrets, because it's very expensive.
Sausage in bread red. That is just too good.
It's so good.
No, eventually, the first one was a little stencil, and there was 3 little bits to the stencil, and then this is one stencil and painted. But it was the kids that sort of helped me do a couple of bits and pieces. So it's very wholesome family stuff.
Child labour.
Child labour.
No, it is such a pain in the ass. It's like one of those things you go, this is going to be awesome. It'll be stencil, it'll be fine. It's got, and then it's one of those things you're at fucking middle of the night. You're high because you're just like news and stuff. I've really saved myself some money here.
How many cans of paint did you go through?
I reckon it's probably 3 for last year.
Did you get a wholesale account with Dulux?
Yeah, 25.
Yeah.
So $15.
That's all right.
That's all right.
That's pretty good.
But the problem is the stencil, because it runs. You have to keep making the stencils. So I don't know.
Also,
I haven't worked into how much my time's worth on this. So.
If you get them in plastic,
never do.
Wash it off and a bit of terps or something like that.
You would probably be out of it. Yeah, you would figure out a smart way to do it.
He's been backseat driving right now.
Cut it out again, and
well, if you've got the time and you can take it slow, then I suppose that's like a really good. And
it's good when sales are slow too. Gives you a little bit extra time.
That's actually but it's actually really interesting. Sort of like because you don't and never really have gone out sort of like hunting for sales. You go out and show the wines. and if people come, they come, and like you do a great job with the wines.
Yeah, we've never sort of been in that position where I've been sort of able to
Had
a little
to.
bit. Or
Oh,
had
right.
to,
Or
able
able
to,
to.
I don't know, able
Yeah,
to,
right.
had to. It's one of those things. It's sort of.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Obviously, with a family, with obviously
Yeah,
the farm,
obviously-
you know, your farmers.
Yeah, and finances and
Yeah.
all these sort of things. And it's definitely been organic rather than. But the wines have always sort of looked good, and you sort of a little bit more pragmatic. But we're not also sort of really salespeople either. So, and that sort of gung ho, hungry sort of.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's I don't know. I think everyone finds that bracket between making wines on a small scale and then stepping up to the next level is.
It's actually
always-
fascinating because we've got a bunch of people that I know sort of chime in quite regularly, and guys, like these wines are absolutely incredible, and it really does showcase, like, you know, you can't. It's like wearing your heart on your sleeve sometimes when you make wines this way. You know, you can see it in the wine, you can taste it in the wine, and especially when you see someone that lives their entire life in that way. And it's not just literally, Kaylee's cheese school is literally called Slow Way,
Yeah.
as in way, slow way. Not slow hay, which is the joke that I was prepared to. That's just completely like, you know.
Stop.
But it is actually because there is an entire movement in Italy. Of course, there's the slow food movement, and it's not just a movement. It's a full blown university. It's a full blown thing, and that was started because of I think it was in the 70s, because of the commercialization of food and drink and beverages, wine, beer, everything thrown in together. And they wanted to be able to showcase that something does taste of a place, and that's actually really important to actually link us back to the land that we belong to. I think it's like that's where wine's going to see its salvation as an entire category.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think there's always going to be a commercial wine, and there will, but then there's going to be a section of people in the public that want wines of place. And I think we're only just sort of starting to see that in Australia now, and make wines of place. The wine industry is like, you know, you're selling to bottle shops, or you're selling to restaurants, you're selling overseas or whatever. There's a multitude of different places where you can sell. It depends on where you want to fit with things and how much you want to sell, or what sort of lifestyle you want, or there's
Will
lots
you
of different avenues to it. So
ever have a place that people can come and visit and buy your wines down in the Vale?
yeah, I think yes, you can come now. You can probably
Just like-
come for a cheese course would be better.
Absolutely, they are linked in the
People will
description.
come.
They are definitely linked in the description, because like I think a cheese course is just one of
Kaylee's
those
heaps better than me too. So
just one of those amazing things to be able to
Yeah.
learn from, I reckon.
eventually, but you know what everything's like in terms of setting up a place or things like
Yeah,
that.
stuff.
It's
It's a big deal. But I mean, I reckon I'm just, you know, tiny little like honesty box, just a bunch of wines just by the road.
yeah. I can imagine Freya.
Oh,
out there. She already sells eggs. Is that $5 a dozen? She is
Seriously?
a business lady. This one, she's a hard ass too.
5 a dozen. 5 a dozen. That's good.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, man.
should put them
Homegrown.
up the website.
I think so.
Yeah,
Seriously.
down on a dozen eggs.
I remember
Oh
when-
man, yeah, speaking my language.
Yelland and Paps, Sue and Michael,
Yeah.
such
Oh,
amazing
yeah.
human
Yeah,
beings. Their kids made a what is it?
Verjus.
A Verjus, Verjus.
Yeah.
And it was like an amazing thing, especially with their children at school, talking about sort of business mathematics and being able to apply it in a real life scenario, and going, look, you made this obviously non-alcoholic, you know, it's essentially for cooking, isn't it? And it was delicious, by the way.
Yeah.
But it was like they were teaching their kids to actually conduct a tasting and do some
It's
sales.
really cool that you mentioned that, because those guys are awesome, and
They're really
they-
so good.
Like, yeah.
We should
Same
get
thing,
Sue and Michael on here. Would be
That would be great.
like you know, they're gnarly,
what's-
man. They're gnarly Barossa, like party people, but they're not like, you know, similar to you guys. Like you know, how have you found? Because they found it quite difficult. I remember them saying that you know, when they started in the Barossa, they didn't inherit a winery. They didn't come from any sort of, you know, big sort of winery family with a you know, fancy last name. And I mean, you guys haven't either. How have you found getting into the Mclaren Vale vibe of things?
McLaren's awesome, and like, yeah, it's fun. I think anywhere where there's community, you just sort of you eventually find community and opportunities open up, and I think we're really lucky, and we've just sort of walked into it. And then where we are right now, we have such an amazing little community of people around our age, similar sort of vibe. We've got like Jim and Kate from Little Waker that do pates and terrines.
Sick.
We've got Jess and Sarah, we've got James and Kimberly. Like, we've got a real little network of people in our little neighbourhood that just want to make
Tasty
showcase
shit.
what us. Yeah, so I don't know. I think you find community wherever. So.
Yeah.
I think Adelaide Hills maybe needs to.
It's the driving. It's the weaving between different little pockets. Whereas Vale's is like that way.
That way. I think no, because we've had a lot of love on the show from people from the Vale, more so than the Barossa. So not saying that Sue and Michael, we haven't actually asked them. We should. Hey, Susan, Michael, you should come on.
It is also the witching hour as well. So it's like 5 to 6. It's tough.
It is tough.
It's a good excuse for parents.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely.
Love you, Brendan, but it's witching hour.
But I'm talking to you, Peter Gago. I really do think that Penfolds could benefit from the marketability of being on the show. Justin Hess has chimed in. Nero Sandra Yum, almost forgot, mate. Thank you so much. Good to see you again. Terry Rawson confirming that the pleat is the fold between the chest and the guts. I've had one for a couple of years now and can't blame the Rona. Mate, I've had one for a couple of years now too. It has exacerbated since the Rona, but you've actually borne witness to my snacking ability and drinking ability for quite some time. Being here in Brisbane, I miss the ability to track down and visit interesting wineries. You can. That's a cool thing, like Brisbane. I was surprised. Here's a really interesting fact. Do you know the Granite Belt has almost 10 times the amount of planted vines as Tasmania?
It doesn't surprise me, yeah.
And for winemaking, for legitimate winemaking. But you don't see, I mean, I see Tasmanian wine everywhere.
Yeah.
But you don't see Queensland wine everywhere. I'd be
Well, I'd
fascinated
say
where it is.
Le Petit Mort.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Le Petit Mort and
Compere Maru.
Compere Maru.
Yeah,
was
they do a bit of
fantastic.
stuff
So they
there.
do some
and then-
really cool
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
We had some Golden Grove on, which was like a reinvention of like a 1970s brand by like the kids have taken over. So there's some really cool stuff up in
Witches Falls making Fiano.
Sorry?
Witches
Witches
Falls
Falls, yeah.
making
Witches
Fiano.
Falls doing, Fiano, absolutely, on Tambourine Mountain. And while you're there, great distillery. Justness, what's in the sausage and bread red?
What year are we talking?
What year
That
is
one.
this?
There's no backload. That year was Grenache, Mataro, Shiraz, a little bit of Fiano and Nero.
Yeah, right.
This year, there's always Grenache in it. There'll be more Mataro in it this year. This year there'll probably be a bit of Arnay, Grillo, whatever else. I don't know. What else did we make
That's
this
a
year?
fun wine. As in, like, the last year's one is sold out? When will this year's one be available?
We're gonna say September.
Classic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have the same issue.
Late August, September. Yeah.
All right, you have brought an amazing blind wine for tasting.
How do you know it's amazing, Brendan?
I don't know. I just guess it is. I have faith in it. Well, every wine is amazing. You know, that's. I mean, so yeah. I'm agnostic.
Yeah.
You could give a $6 swill, and I'll probably still kind of go, "Hey, look, it's not probably something else." But hey, it's a grape that has struggled and grown probably in the Riverland, and it has turned into this wonderful hyper oaky $6 bottle.
But it's made someone happy.
And it's gone through some like
Well,
Dynamacious Earth RDV leads or something like that. Maybe it's probably something. No, I'm excited. Thank you so much. So
That's right. I didn't mean to go as wacky as this, but I actually really like this wine. So
that is literally
well, I did the
the
last
criteria.
time. So yeah.
That is the criteria. If you love the wine, then that's it. So what's next for year wines? What's
More cheese, a little bit Fiano, just honing in on stuff that we want to make and bringing it back to our little neighbourhood, which is sort of Whites Valley. Little vineyard, hopefully this year, which would just be shits and giggles. But yeah, just more refinement, I suppose, and more, obviously the core range of Grenache, Fiano, sausage bread will be there, and then just playing around. But yeah, cheese, wine,
what
a
are the
little bit of
if you,
accommodation on site.
if you were to plant your own like vineyard?
Yep.
what variety would you plant? What's the one that kind of makes you go, yeah, totally, I'm into this, like in a big way? What's the thing that's drawing you?
Yeah, well, we are, but see, I like field blend vineyards. I think that's the amazing thing. A little plot, like our little place is only a couple of acres, so it's never going to be. Yeah, you're not going to be selling to Treasury and then kicking back in March and going on holiday.
Barley winemakers. It's a club. Yeah, they just go. They leave.
So for us, I always look at those little Italian northern Spain sort of those ancient sort of vineyards. They're always implanted, mostly bush, but they've got fig trees or they've got all this other sort of not just vines about them. For me, that would be awesome. So field blend, red and whites. Obviously, what does well with us is Grenache, Fiano, any of those ones, those later ripening, hold their acid. That really, really well. So we'll put Grenache, a little bit of Fiano, a little bit of Nero in this year. Torigo. We made some Grillo this year. Thanks, Andy Coppo. So yeah, any of those sort of things. But field blend vineyard would be the amazing thing.
Would you go both whites and reds?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, totally. So it's like completely
light red sort of vibe. Yep.
That's
high
so
acid,
cool.
light red.
That is so cool. All right, let's deep dive straight into blind tasting. This is wacky.
Black glass just makes it wacky.
Yeah, it's really, like I said, it's really, really disorienting. That is, I haven't had this flavor for a while, and it's like if I've ever seen an example of this, it's actually really interesting. It's also very good, but an example of foxiness. We've not had this on the show. We're episode 84. We've never seen foxiness in a wine before. This is such a great example of that, and that's not meant in a derogatory or bad way. Quite often, it's a character that's born by like a rootstock as opposed to or like Vitis labrusca.
I just bought the bottle. I haven't done any research on it.
Oh really? This is seriously fun. This is seriously fun. It feels like, and I've only ever seen one Australian version of this, which is Coat of Barrel's Isabella. Because that is a rootstock, and it does showcase these sort of characters. I
think it's lively on the palate. It's got this nose which is quite interesting, because of what it is, which you don't know about yet. But the palate it's just got this an open spritzy, which I quite like, and then sort of evolves through the glass a little bit.
And the tannin, the structure on this is beautiful.
Line bright. It's got this nice little chewiness to it. I just think it's fun. I think that's, I'm going to call it, like, it doesn't have amazing length, but it's fun. Yeah, I don't know.
Length is like of the, you talk to like wine show judges, and I've done my fair share of it. They talk about, judging wine based on length. I think that is actually a completely irrelevant, silly way to judge a wine. Oh, it's got really great length. That's fine. It's sometimes it's admirable. Sometimes you also don't want it. Sometimes it's clipped and fun and
I think sometimes it's associated with weight more than the actual tannin structure, or acid structure.
This is fascinating. Already so fascinating. There's like a really cool, fun brewy note to this that that sort of like starts to blur the lines. It's fun. It's like, this is cool.
Do you want to run options, or do you want me to?
Oh, that's what we're here for.
They're in black glasses for a reason.
Let's do it.
All right. Oh, Jesus.
All right.
Really
is it red or white? I'm happy to do it. Because red or white?
It's red.
Yeah, it's red. New World or Old World?
See, this is
I really think it's New World. It could be Old World, but it's a thing about perceived freshness, because you can have fresh wines from the Old World, but there is like a liveliness and a vitality to this that makes me kind of go, it hasn't traveled across the equator, and if it has, it would have been 2018 vintage, like Northern Hemisphere. So it's like, there's a few sort of factual things. Is it New World?
Can we pass the next question?
I'm going to say this is New World.
Okay, cool. Right.
Refute what you just said then. So
Are we going to Australia?
Yeah.
Are we going to Mexico? Are we going to the United States of America?
Yeah, wow. Is this, yeah, wow. So, I mean, obviously the red
how
herring
many?
there, which is
how
like...
many Mexican Australian?
Yeah, Australia's the red herring there.
I know one, because I went to uni with them. So this is, that's actually really cool, this particular one, because I have no idea what the variety is. I believe it's obviously Benji and Maurizio's Somos.
Yeah,
wine.
correct.
Very cool. I've not seen or tasted any of their... I spent 4 years at uni with these guys. Seriously, they're so much fun. They're so much fun. They're such wicked dudes. Firstly, thank you for bringing this wine because I haven't tried any of it. So basically, for those that are playing at home, Benji and Maurizio, they're Aussie winemaker meets a Mexican winemaker who came across to study the university degree and became a very incredible winemaker in his own right. They both did. And then they collaborated and they started a wine brand called Somos together, which means toy, I believe, in Spanish. And
I think.
I thought I am.
We're going to read the label.
I thought it meant toy. But forgive me if I got that wrong.
We are. Yeah, we are.
We
so,
are. No,
culturally.
No, sorry.
Yeah,
it's Somos is. Yep. Somos is we are, and Juguete is which means toy. Forgive me.
Yeah.
But then the whole idea, which was like the most crazy idea I've ever heard in a long time, was they're going to make wine in Australia and they're going to send it to Mexico to sell, and then they're going to make wine in Mexico and send it to Australia to sell. And to be honest, when we were at university, we tried a whole bunch. It was a very long time ago now for me, and we tried a bunch of Mexican wines. And I had what I believe to be, even to this day, from the New World, the best Nebbiolo I've ever tried. And it was made in a building that was constructed of tires. I kid you not. And it was utterly insane. I couldn't pick it from Barbaresco. It was so good. Mexico is seriously underrated and seriously misunderstood for its wine production. This is actually really quite exciting. I have no idea what the variety is though, but that's very, very cool.
So Brendan, this wine's from California.
Really?
No, I'm kidding. It's from Mexico.
After that lovely bottle.
Yeah. I was like, what if it was wrong? What do you reckon is the predominant variety? Because it is a blend, but there is a predominant variety.
Is it a common variety? Is it a variety?
You will know all of these varieties very well.
Okay.
Have you made all the varieties?
Have I made them?
At least 60%.
Yeah.
Or 66.66 recurring percent.
I think Nebbiolo is one of them.
Yeah.
I actually think because Nebbiolo in Mexico is like a thing, which is weird. It makes no sense, but it does.
I think it's quite high. I think it's quite a high vineyard. So
I don't know the areas of apart from Baja. I don't know outside of that many areas, but I think it's actually close to San Diego. I actually think it's quite far north.
This is from Baja. So
it is from Baja.
This is from Baja. Okay. So Vale de Ojos
Negros. Really stretching me, bro. This is I'm getting flashbacks trying to get this one out. Okay, so Nebbiolo Barbera. No. Okay, fuck me, I don't know.
The other two varieties are Shiraz and Malbec.
Shiraz and Malbec, yeah, right. Okay.
Could have been here a while.
Yeah.
Oh, Shiraz.
That's just like, let me just go through all of the varieties of wine I've ever made.
That's incredible.
They were all co-fermented. So basically, I'm reading basically the winemaking notes. Nebbiolo and Malbec were placed into the tank as whole bunch, and the Shiraz was chucked on top. Wild fermented for 25 days and pressed off. Spent 6 months on lees, bottled, unfined, unfiltered, and tasting delicious.
Yeah.
This is dope, man. I like how they called it Nebbiolo.
Questionable.
That is cool, man. So once we are, that's right. We are, that's right. Wow. 100% whole bunch. Oh no, just
Shiraz,
yeah. Okay,
I
I'm with you.
think,
I'm
yeah.
with you. I'm with you.
I think
That
it's
is so
quite a
cool,
high
man.
vineyard. It's all in the
Yeah.
First crop, I think, but
Oh wow!
I should
So
be
this
paying
is this is own roots.
this is Mauricio's little baby, I think. So
That's really cool.
I remember, honestly, Maurizio making like burritos for us, like legit at university, and it was mind-blowingly good. Seriously, this guy's a freak. Like these guys are just super fun. If you can find
they're
anyone
killing
to-
it. I think if you Vale new producers that are doing interesting wines, I think these guys are killing it.
Yeah,
That's
great wines from the Vale too. Great wines.
firstly, first Mexican wine we've ever had on the show.
First Mexican wine.
It's up there with the first Indian wine we ever had on the show.
Not yay.
Yeah, we definitely had Indian. Was it Sauvignon Blanc?
It was an Indian 2013 Sauvignon Blanc from India.
Was it memorable? No.
It was memorable.
That really sticks out.
It was memorable. We've had Japanese wine.
Yeah, Japanese wine.
Yeah,
Japanese wines.
we've
Yeah,
done.
absolutely.
Yeah, we need to get like, what country can you bring us that we haven't had yet? Like that's.
Antarctica.
We were talking
Chinese. Would be cool.
Yeah.
There is-
We have UK. We haven't had Hungary.
There's a great variety.
Yeah, Hungary's pretty. Yeah, that's fair.
There's a great variety that is a blend of, not a blend, but like
Thailand?
an actual crossing, legitimate crossing of Grenache and Cabernet. And I actually do genuinely believe this should be planted inside Australia. And I tell you what, the people that are like really nailing it is China. Seriously. And it starts with M.
How does it work?
It starts with, how does it work? It is
Pretty tannic thing? Or
pretty
what is
tannic
it?
that handles drought super well. And doesn't drop acidity. It basically
doesn't sound great.
it would basically think of it, you know, we did like Shiraz cab blends, right? You know, to be able to flesh out the sort of mid palate weight lacking of Cabernet. But this is the same thing in the variety itself. What's it called? The crossing of
I'm trying to find out.
Noah's Racing Weight. It starts with M. It starts with M.
I'm just going through at work today. There was reading out some tasting notes of Viognier Pinot Grigio crossing.
Really?
Yeah, it was lovely.
What's it called?
Viognier Pinot Grigio.
Viognier Pinot Grigio. At least it's not Verdelho Pinot Grigio, otherwise it would have been like 18% alcohol. You know, like seriously.
There's a time and a place.
There's a time and a place. I saw lovely compatriots actually in Mclaren Vale that released a low alcohol version of Verdelho at 14% alcohol. Seriously, it was called low ABV.
I wonder who that could be.
I wonder who that could possibly be. Can you elaborate on foxiness, BC? All right, cool. We're going to get a little bit basic. So, have you encountered foxiness before in any wine? Or have you heard of foxiness?
As opposed to the Captain Kim sort of...
No. No, like legitimate,
She's
like
foxy.
it's an actual descriptor. It's an actual taste flavor descriptor.
I'm going to say no and let you explain it.
Okay, so of course, if you go to the States, one of the most magnificent places to go to taste wine, and they do some incredible wine. Don't get me wrong, but they have had a history, and they still do to this day, making native varieties, which is Vitis labrusca.
Yep.
We make wine from Vitis vinifera, which is the obviously the vine of winemaking, vinifera, that was popularized in Europe and predominantly France. So when you hear words like Nebbiolo or Syrah, or they are actually legitimate varieties of Vitis vinifera. Inside Australia and in many ways places around the world, in fact the vast majority of Europe is planted on what's called a rootstock because of something called phylloxera. Phylloxera is a nasty little aphid, a bug that came by and degrades the roots, bites actually holes in the roots, and it makes it really hard for the vine to be able to get enough energy up into the vines to be able to actually survive. This would happen in the mid to late 1800s. The only way that you could actually fix it was to grow. It actually came out to Europe on the back of a whole bunch of Vitis labrusca vines. They thought, hey, America, the new nation, has actually got all these really cool vines. We should bring them into Europe and not have any quarantine like is quite common in Australia. So they brought them across and it released this aphid. The aphid pretty much wiped out 70% of all vines that were established at the time inside, particularly in France, but also it eventually stretched across most of Europe. So nowadays they graft these Vitis vinifera, the vines that we know as the taste and flavor. It doesn't really impact the flavor that much, but there is arguments for and against it. But they graft it onto these rootstocks, which are quite resistant. The roots are therefore resistant to the aphid because they are American rootstocks. That was the solution. In Australia, we're very lucky, and particularly in South Australia, even more lucky, that we actually don't have phylloxera here. So we have many, many, many wines that are planted, vines that are planted here, that are grown on vines that are on own roots. But the flip side of this is rootstocks can be tailored. So you can have drought-resistant rootstocks. You can have salt-resistant rootstocks.
Nematode.
Yeah, nematode-resistant rootstocks. Of course, nematodes are also a nasty little thing as well.
Where do you sit on it?
On rootstocks?
Yeah.
Ideally, I would actually say don't use them. If you can get away with not using them, don't use them. But if it's going to be anything, use a drought-resistant one, because I think water use is probably going to be the most thing, and the thing that kills nematodes, the fact there's no water in the soil. So you would go to that sort of, you can cover more bases, I feel, especially if you're not using water. You're also going to de-risk yourself from salt and salt tolerance and stuff like that, and rising salt damp and sedicities in soil and lacking soil structure. So water for us is the common denominator. And if you can do that, you can grow your vine without having to irrigate so much, or at all, ideally, then you're going to be largely sweet for most things. But nematodes, yeah, royal bitch of a thing. That's like the Australian. In Europe, they've got like a myriad of other things they worry about. Things like Esca, which is like, we worry about things like Udipa, which you can actually, it's like, when we go through like a vineyard, it's like, oh yeah, got some Udipa, I've got to get onto that. You're like, yeah, you do. And it's like, yeah, but it's going to take 4 years to kill a vine. So it was like,
But it was also such a great marketing campaign in the 90s that still sells quite a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
If anyone knows that.
But foxiness, as a more roundabout way, is when you actually grow fruit from these native vines, from the rootstocks themselves, and you actually turn them into wine, and they have a very, very, very distinct smell. This, I feel, actually has a fair degree of that smell. Definitely 110%. So I'd question whether or not this is actually 100% of this thing, but it could well be. It could well be. Like, it doesn't take a lot of, it's sort of like eucalyptus leaves and stuff. In ferments, it takes like 1/10 of anything to be able to overpower the aroma. Or like musket, you need no more than like 5% musket for the whole thing to smell like roses. I think maybe this has 1 or 2 varieties. The fact that it is from Mexico and it's so close to America, and I have no idea of the viticulture of this side. I don't know anything like that, but it's sort of like, it's probably not unrealistic. But it also feels like 100, like if I trying to conceptualize 100% whole bunch Nebbiolo with Shiraz crushed on top of it, like it kind of feels like 100% whole bunch Nebbiolo as well. So, yeah, that in terms of this particular wine, I can't really comment because it's so far out there. I don't have a past standard, but yeah, foxiness is this. I guess it's a lifted, almost floral mixed with fruity aroma that that isn't overly pleasant by itself. This isn't like that though. This is actually quite pleasant. This is fun. I think fun's probably the best way to describe that. These other wines are sort of like so heady. It's like musket had a fart. Bad one.
Musk fart.
Musk fart.
Never mind. By the way, the Chinese grape variety is Masalan.
Masalan. I'm not sure if it's Chinese though.
Oh no, it's it's from France, but the variety that is now becoming quite popular in China, which is a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon and Grenache, is Masalan.
Very cool. Is that the same people doing white Shiraz? Mate, there's plenty of white Syrah, Lockie George. That is made globally, like plenty of white Syrah. It's not white though; it's rosé. Mate, we've got a minute left, and we got one more blind tasting to do.
Oh,
grab a bottle off the back. This one. We're gonna give that to Noah. We're gonna empty this out, and we're gonna proceed to our last blind tasting. We had a bonus blind tasting because we just sort of start with one because Andy Coppard, you left a bottle. That's your fault, not mine. Noah is cracking out the. Going as quick
as good at all things, isn't he, Noah?
Noah is he's like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, a creative Swiss Army knife. Absolutely. Noah is
just the bits that you do need have fallen off, and I've got like the tweezers. That's it.
That's rocking it, man. We're gonna. This is gonna be a speed fire stream, a speed fire tasting.
I'm going to say it's white.
It's a white wine. I'm going to say it's white. Oh, no, because we do have Henry, our brand ambassador, awaiting the Applewood stream of this evening. Lean, clean, mean fighting machine. This is. Smells lime-licked and fresh and fun. I'm putting the comments down. Oh man, this is like happening all cylinders for you, Henry. Because Henry's chiming in. He's ready to like hit the stream button over in Melbourne right now.
Yeah.
So this is going to be like Rain Man style.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's New World, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. I don't know. It's white. Can I peg out at what?
Yeah, it's white.
It's white.
It's white. I think it's Old World.
I'm going to tell her.
Be you going, Luke?
Taste it, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. It's quite a bit of sulphur on it, actually, to be honest. No, I'll stick with you.
It's Old World.
Yeah, of course.
And just like straight away, okay, you know that it's bright, it's fresh, it's almost too fresh. It's almost like you probably want to hold on to this wine for another year before releasing it fresh. High sulfur. We're talking. Where are we talking? What are our options, Noah?
Sorry to exhale into the microphone. Germany,
Of course.
Italy, Austria.
I think it's well. Thank God you didn't say Alsace. Is probably like if you really wanted to screw with this. Man, if that ain't German, I don't know what is.
I would be happy to go German or Austrian.
This is Italian.
Fuck. It's like well north. It's like Alto Adige, quasi Germany.
Was it Italian like 70 years ago?
Yeah, that's right. Wasn't it? Yeah, that's right. It probably wasn't. It was probably German. I would say this is well north, like Trentino, Alto Adige. Like it's just so crisp.
Yeah.
It's like coiled and tensioned and oh man, this is like metallic. And fun.
Let's go real north. Is it Veneto, Trentino, or Friuli?
It's Trentino. It's Friuli would be Skinsy.
You'd think that'd
Veneto
be more
would be
texture.
all like Suave. And if this is Suave, someone overdosed a Suave with a fuckload of sulfur. Like this is lean, man, but this feels like
it doesn't have the
aromatic white.
texture.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh.
This is from Trento.
Trentino, yeah, cool.
All right, just getting there. Just going for grapes now because apparently my Trentino has my
Basically Germany.
It's basically Germany, but I'm just going for grape varieties. Pinot Grigio. Are we going Kerner or Sylvaner?
Silver.
Yeah, it is because I tried to read it off the back label at the time, and the double bluff failed me. 18, 17, 16.
18. Fresh.
Yeah, I reckon.
18.
Yeah, okay. It's the same, so it's Koroff. So it could well be, there could be maybe a sneaky bit of Kerner in this, because Kerner's a really good thing for this, option for this as well.
So if you said, was it in this shaped bottle, I would have said yes. Is it in a Burgundy bottle, or a Claret bottle, or a Riesling bottle? Riesling bottle, done.
What's the synonym for Sylvaner? Or is it just Sylvaner?
I think it is.
Let me have a look.
Sorry,
Henry.
If it's Pinot Grigio, I'll be we're going to get back to you with the synonym for Sylvaner. It could just be Sylvaner. I could be leading him up like...
Nah, it's just Sylvaner.
It's just Sylvaner.
It's also known as Gruner Sylvaner.
Guys, thank you so much for chiming in. Luke, mate, thanks so much for making the journey out here. Laura, thanks for being a cool live audience. And Noah, of course, as always, thank you so much for cracking open.
It's the world's fastest options ever. My God.
Fastest options ever. Guys, we'll be back next Monday. We'll catch you same time as always. Probably not a lot of mums and dads joining. But we know we'll have you guys. If you're interested in year wines and of course Slow Way Cooking School, if you are from South Australia, we do definitely encourage you. The link is in the description above. And it's something that if you are going to go do it, let us know before you do, because Laura and I will come with you. Seriously. I mean, not every single time. If you get back in like 8-9 months time, we're probably already gone. But if
So
you're
much
thinking
Houdini.
soon, we'll definitely jump on board because I'm super keen. Definitely, for sure. Anyway, cheers, guys. Have a good night.